Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Let's go over the small but fun 4-game NBA slate for tonight on DraftKings. Before we continue though, as always, if you guys could just leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out, really appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And if you're interested in the spreadsheets about every single night for the NBA season, my defense versus position chart, my Discord chat, and my projections that I update all the way up until lock, as well as my cheat sheet. Links are in the description below for my Patreon. Then without further ado, let's get right into the slate. So up top, we could talk about LeBron and Anthony Davis, but I don't really view them as guys that I'm more than likely going to end up being on because I just think the mid-range is absolutely packed tonight. But I'll touch on the two Lakers studs here. So LeBron, I think he's the better play of the two between him and Anthony Davis. It's a really good matchup here for LeBron as a guard versus the Detroit Pistons, and he's been great this season. Obviously, he's a walking triple-double threat every single night. Coming off a monster game 2 nights ago versus Phoenix, where he had 73 fantasy points. Then versus New Orleans, not quite as good, which was a little bit surprising. 54 fantasy points, but it's pretty good when you can say you didn't have really that good of a game when you only scored 54 fantasy points. AD kind of took control of that game versus his old team, absolutely smashed. But LeBron, he's at 1.54 points per minute on the season. He's got a 31.4% usage rate. And obviously there's nothing bad I can say about LeBron. Good matchup versus Detroit, who is bottom 10 versus point guard, shooting guard, small forward, whatever you want to call LeBron. So I think LeBron's a fine play if you have the salary. But I personally am going to be living in this mid-range, which I'll be talking about mostly on this slate. I think there's a glaring obvious game that you pretty much want to get all of your pieces from, and we'll talk about that soon. And I won't really talk about Anthony Davis too much, but he had a monster game last time out, 73 fantasy points, kind of broke that stretch of the lackluster 40-point outings. But he had 46 real-life points, 13 boards, 3 steals, 73 fantasy points. He absolutely smashed. Is he a good play? Yes, but on this slate, I really don't view him as that much of a strong play, or really that he's necessary whatsoever, because there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of strong mid-range 8, 7, 6, 5, 4K plays all in play on this slate. So I'm personally probably going to end up fading the two top dogs unless I have some salary remaining. But I was actually playing around with some roster construction, and I feel like I'm just going to live in that mid-range as of right now. So we're going to skip to some of these mid-range guys that I like quite a bit. And the first one we're going to talk about is Devin Booker here. I think he's a fantastic play here versus Memphis. And this is obviously going to be the best game to stack on the night. We have a 234.5 point total, which is by far the highest, and it's a pretty tight 6-point spread. So I expect this to be pretty back and forth, and it's going to be played very fast. Both teams are top 10 in pace of play. Memphis is 8th, and Phoenix is 9th. And both teams are also bottom 10 defensively. So this sets up really well for a good fantasy, just a good fantasy game in general. And all the guys aren't super expensive, and that's the best thing about it. So this is going to be one of the best fantasy games of the year, in my opinion, just because of the pricing and whatnot. I think there's a couple of guys that are just mispriced and are excellent plays. And just for as for Booker himself, he's on a hot streak. I mean, he's been very, very good recently. 51 points, 44, 50, 54. If it looks like I'm blinking a lot, I am. I am so tired. I've been up for a while, but I wanted to get this video out before I got up in the morning, so it'd be out like 10 hours earlier. So I'm pushing through here. It's 1:30 in the morning, but figured you guys would like it if it's up earlier for when you guys wake up, because I probably won't get up till 10 a.m. tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, Booker, he's been on a hot streak, been playing very well. I don't see why that can't continue versus Memphis. They rank 30th versus shooting guards, dead last. And they just suck versus guards in general. So I think him and Ricky Rubio can have pretty solid games here. But you can't ask for a better matchup for Devin Booker. And he's actually done pretty well in some tougher matchups recently. Sacramento's not the easiest matchup. LA's not the easiest matchup. And New York's not the easiest matchup. They're not terrible. But he's been performing very well. He's had over a 30% usage rate in the past, 8 games, I want to say. I expect him to be highly owned, and I think it's deservedly so. So Devin Booker, I think he's an awesome play on the slate. I might just make him my cover picture. I have not decided that yet, but I think it might be Devin Booker, and I love him tonight. Jimmy Butler. Okay, I lost my spot first. Yeah, Jimmy Butler right below him at 7,900. Again, I think he's another really solid option. Like I said, there's a lot of good mid-range options that don't break the bank. Now, they don't have the 70-point ceilings Anthony Davis or LeBron have, but they don't need to when they're at this price of like 3K less. So, again, Jimmy Butler, one of my favorite plays on the slate, draws a fantastic matchup versus Portland's below-average defense. They're ranked 5th worst just in general, and they are pretty bad versus all positions. And I'm honestly surprised his price didn't come up after a 50-point game versus Orlando. He had 35 minutes, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, 50 fantasy points, had a very good outing. I know he was on a cold stretch for a little bit. I say cold stretch, but I mean 50, 36, 40, 55, then 40, 36, 34, 32, 43, 40. Mini cold stretch, but I mean, for Jimmy Butler, I guess it's a little bit of a cold stretch, but still at this price tag at 7,900. I mean, I was playing the guy when he was like 9K at one point, so I obviously would want to play him at 7,900. Now, I know Justice Winslow is questionable and he may play, but it's also his first game back in a while, so we'll have to see what his minutes are like, even if he does come back. Either way, I still like Jimmy Butler here. He's at 1.22 points per minute on the season, 25.3% usage rate. I think he's an excellent play, and if you can fit in Jimmy Butler and Devin Booker, I think that's an awesome way to start your lineups. And this is why I'm saying I don't think you need LeBron or Anthony Davis on this slate. They just seem really unnecessary because I want to talk about a ton of guys, right? Like on the screen that you see right now, I'm going to talk I feel like about half of these guys. So Bam Adebayo right below him. So we got 3 in a row here. I think he's another awesome play for most of the reasons I just said about Jimmy Butler. We can apply it to Bam Adebayo here. And this is a great spot versus Portland individually. Centers have smashed versus them all season as they're ranked 26th versus position. I know it seems like Hassan Whiteside should be a good defender, but they just are not good down low. He's good at blocking shots and rebounds, but not a good defender. And he's been up 1.13 points per minute on this season, I think right below a 20% usage rate. So I think Bam is an excellent play. And if you want to play all 3 of these guys, I say go for it. Scrolling down a little bit, Kevin Love versus his old team, but I'm not really too interested. He had a bad game last night. He did not look that interested. Kelly Oubre, though, I shouldn't say a lot of interest in Kelly Oubre because the price has come up quite a bit, but I think he's a solid GPP option just because of his recent form, because the guy is on absolute fire right now. I mean, 46, 45, 49, 53, and for that. But the past 4 games, he has been amazing, and he's one of those guys that can get in hot streaks, and right now he's in a hot streak. So if you want to keep riding that, I totally understand it, and like I said, I love this game for fantasy, so I would not fault you for wanting to play any person in this game as long as they see decent minutes, not like some random bench player that might see 5 minutes. All the key pieces in this game are in play, and some of the bench players as well. And this game environment suits a guy like Kelly Oubre really well. I think he can drain some threes here. It just depends on how hot he is from deep, and if he's hot from deep, he could score another 50 fantasy points. I could see that happening. He's got a 22% usage rate, about a point per minute guy, although that's gone up recently. So he's going to play huge minutes too. I mean, he's played at least 40 minutes in 3 of the last 4 games. That's pretty awesome. So got to like Kelly Oubre here in tournaments. Probably wouldn't view him as a cash game play at that price tag, but I wouldn't fault you for wanting to play him in cash games. But I just think he's more suited for GPP considering he's gotten a price hike. One of my favorite plays on the entire slate, we have DeAndre Ayton here at 6,900, and this just seems a little bit too cheap. Doesn't make sense why they drop his price. So he had 41 points at 7,300 in the last game. Now he gets a really good matchup versus Memphis, and they drop his price to 6,900. Makes absolutely no sense to me. I think he should probably be close to 8K, to be honest. Maybe not quite 8K, but at least close to it. He's at 40 points in 3 of the last 4 games here, and so it just doesn't make sense to me why he get a price drop. But this is going to be the game we want for pieces for fantasy purposes. I would not mind having my entire lineup being a game stack of this. I think that is totally fine, and it's probably pretty doable considering no one's that expensive on this slate. Like, you can't full stack the Lakers because, well, really don't want the secondary options on the Lakers anyway because LeBron and AD just soak up all the usage, but they're also so expensive. But, Devin Booker's the most expensive guy on the Suns, so it's really not that hard to fit in the entire game stack on this one, which is what I like. And he's a good player for fantasy. DeAndre Ayton is. He's a terrible defender, but I don't really care about his defense when it comes to fantasy. He's at 1.22 points per minute, and that's just too cheap for someone that's 6,900. If you're at 1.22 points per minute, you should probably be close to. That's Jimmy Butler, so he should probably be around Jimmy Butler's price range, although I would trust Jimmy Butler a little bit more. But fantastic matchup for Ayton here. They rank 25th versus centers, and it's a fast-paced matchup versus Memphis. So excellent play. I think DeAndre Ayton is a very, very good play. He's going to grade out as an excellent point per dollar option on this slate. And again, to sound like a broken record, you can play all of these guys from this game. Ricky Rubio, he's in play at 6,800. I believe his price came down. This is the cheapest he's been in at least the last 10 games. So I like that he's pretty cheap here, and he's a 1.13 point per minute guy, which is pretty good for this price tag, over a 20% usage rate. Memphis is trash versus guards, absolutely trash. And he's got triple-double upside too. I mean, I think he has a couple this season. Normally won't get it, but he's a double-double threat every single night. I mean, 10 assists, 9, 13, 8. But he is a triple-double threat. He can do it. And we've seen big ceiling games from Ricky Rubio. I think he's a safe bet for 35-plus points in this game. Now, playing him and Booker isn't the best correlation in the world, but he's been fine 2 games ago, or I should say 3 or 4 games ago versus Portland and Sacramento. Devin Booker had good games in those ones, and he also had good games, 46 points, 45 points, so you can play them together in my opinion. I like that he took a price price drop. So Ricky Rubio definitely in play because I love this game for fantasy purposes, and Memphis is just so bad versus guards. Jaren Jackson, I guess this is one guy I'm probably going to pass on. Not really on my radar, to be honest. Now, the guy's got upside. He just scored 40 points versus the Clippers. But I just really don't see myself playing Jaren Jackson. I just think there's better plays from a point per dollar perspective. But by me saying that, he's probably going to go a little bit, he's not going to go low just because I said that. But I feel like other people will view Jaren Jackson the same way I'm viewing him, so I would expect him to be lower owned. And if you want some leverage, which I think will be a pretty chalky night, this is not going to be a sneaky stack by any means. All these guys are going to be extremely high owned. So if you want to get a little bit different, you could look at guys like Jaren Jackson or Jonas Valanciunas, who I believe will probably be pretty low owned, and it's a really good matchup down low versus Phoenix. So both are in play, both about point per minute guys. Valanciunas is better on a point per minute basis, but his minutes are a little bit more sporadic. But both are in play in my opinion. See Robert Covington and SHABAZZ Napier. For this video, we can assume that Teague, Towns, and Wiggins out, or just to make it easier in our lives. If they're back in, obviously you can't play these guys, but if they're out again, which I feel like they will be out again because it's a Sunday. I don't see a reason why I bring them back on a Sunday. I don't think they're going to want to come back on a Sunday. So we could look at these guys again. Now, their price has jumped a little bit. Should I say a little bit? Kind of a lot of bit. But Covington was in the 5,600 range. Jumped all the way up to 6,300 after a great game versus Golden State where he had 30 minutes, 47 fantasy points. That's more of a ceiling game from Robert Covington, and this price range is kind of priced out. But it's a great matchup versus Cleveland. They are just trash defensively. They are the second worst defensive team, only behind Atlanta. Now, they don't play that fast, but Minnesota plays at the fastest pace of play this season, so it would definitely make sense to want exposure to Minnesota against this awful Cleveland defense. And he's, with all these guys off the court, he's over a point per minute, guys. Not a high usage rate, but he does the peripheral stats. He's going to get rebounds. He's going to get assists, three-pointers. He likes to shoot three-pointers. He shot 11 in the last game. Hit 4 of them. Robert Covington, he's a fine mid-range play, as same for SHABAZZ Napier. If I had to play one of these two guys, I'm going to pick Napier because he actually has better numbers with all these guys off the court. And he's been balling out, too. 39 points, 37, 43 the past 3 games. Played 34, 31, 33 minutes. So as long as all those guys are out, the minutes are secure, and the guy's been very, very good. He scored at least 20 points in the past 3 games. Good at shooting threes, and with all those guys off the court, he's got a team-high 26.9% usage rate, 1.07 points per minute. And this is an elite matchup versus Cleveland. They're ranked 29th versus point guards, and they just suck defensively. So SHABAZZ Napier, definitely a solid play, and they like to play fast, not a lot of defense. So I think this is a pretty solid game. And this game might go a little bit overlooked considering we have that Memphis and Phoenix game. So I think the Cleveland-Minnesota game, as long as Towns and all those guys are out, I think that would be a decent pivot if you do want to get a little bit different in tournaments. Let's see, GORGUI, DIENG, you could play him, but I honestly am starting not to like this guy. I liked him before. Every time I play him, he screwed him. So you can guess the games I played him. I played him this game. Well, you can't see my cursor because I think that's turned off. But I played him in the last game where he had 16 points because, of course. I played him versus Milwaukee where he got 26 points. Not as bad, but it still sucks for 6,400. I didn't play him versus Brooklyn. He gets 48 points. I played him versus Cleveland. He gets 25. I didn't play him versus Sacramento. He gets 48. And then I played him versus Golden State where he gets 30. Didn't play him versus... Maybe I did play him versus Portland. Don't remember exactly, but pretty much whenever I play him, he sucks. But the price did come down a little bit. He's finally back in that 5K range. So if all those guys are out, you could definitely look his way. It's an elite matchup versus Cleveland. Just know I have terrible luck with this guy. So I'll probably just stop talking about him now, just to stop jinxing him if you guys do end up playing him. But scrolling down a little bit, let's see. Aaron Baynes. Aaron Baynes is 4,900. So I think, again, just staying in this game, I like him. And he just freaking smashed the last game. He had 29 minutes, 12 boards, 2 assists, 1 block. Did get 6 personal fouls, so he did foul out. But 20 real life points for 42 fantasy points. That's more of a ceiling game from Aaron Baynes. I know earlier in the season, I think he had a 60-point game, but obviously his ceiling's capped a little bit with DeAndre Ayton being back. But we can definitely look his way because I love this game, and he is very cheap. And he's over a point per minute this season, 1.06 points per minute. Let's give him like 28 to 30 minutes in this game. I think he can get over 30 fantasy points at a really good price, and they're bottom 5 versus center. So Aaron Baynes, I do think he's a very solid play and someone we can look at for some salary relief. Not a complete value pump play, but 4,900 is not bad. And let's see. Next guy, Jay Crowder. I have my player pool listed on like a thing down there, but I didn't write their prices down. So, but I think Jay Crowder is 4,500. Okay, I don't remember. Oh, no, never mind. He's 4,500, yeah. I guess I couldn't see him. But Jay Crowder, I mean, is this right? 62 fantasy points. I saw it on DK Live, and then I thought it was a mistake, and then I looked on another site, and it said he had 34 fantasy points, but I guess he couldn't have had 34 fantasy points because 27, 8, 7, that doesn't match up. So I guess he did get 62 fantasy points. This was on the early slate, so I wasn't really paying attention to the early slate, so I was assuming Draftkings would have the right number. So 62, I was thinking maybe this is like a captain showdown mode score, but 27 points, 8 boards, 7 assists, 3 blocks, 3. That pretty much lines up. So he had an absolute ceiling game in the last time out. Is he going to do that again? No. Are people going to point chase that? Heck yeah, especially casual players. But that doesn't mean he's a bad play. They didn't move his price tag at all. So at 4,500, I still think he's fine because, again, this is my favorite game of the night, and he is cheap. And, again, he's going to be high owned just because people are looking at that game log. I mean, he did it. It's not like he didn't do it. And then he had 34 points in the game before that, which I would take 34 points at 4,500. Will I take 62? Heck yeah. That's never happening again, though. But, again, I love this game environment. He's at 0.81 points per minute in the season. I think he could flirt with 25 to 30 points, and I would take that at this price tag. I still can't believe he actually had 62 fantasy points. That's absolutely insane. As long as that's correct. Another side I was looking at, it said he had 34, but maybe that didn't update yet. Or, no, he had 34 points the last game, right? Yeah, 34 points the last game, so that's what I was looking at. So he actually did, yeah, he scored 62. If you can't hear him, it's my dog barking at 2 a.m. for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I should probably go check that out. Well, I don't know what he wanted. I went up and checked. Everything looks okay. Maybe he didn't like what was on TV for him. I don't know. But I think we just got done talking about Jay Crowder, so let's just keep going on the list here. We only have a couple more guys I want to talk about. So again, assuming all those guys are out for the T-Wolves, you could actually look at Naz Reid. Now, he actually looked pretty good in the last game, and I think that was directly what was hurting GORGUI DIENG the past few games, except that one game where he smashed. But he actually ended up playing 20 minutes, 18 minutes, and 20 minutes the last 3 games, and it's kind of is affecting GORGUI DIENG. And he's actually looking pretty good when he gets on the court. So 24 points, 17, 25. Not been bad. And if we give him about 20 minutes, I think he's a fine play versus Cleveland, who just sucks in all aspects. And when he's been on the court this season, those guys are off. He's averaging 1.12 points per minute, 26.7% usage rate. Nothing suggests he'd be a bad play at this price tag of 4K. And 26.7% usage rate. That was a really shocking number. That's second only behind SHABAZZ Napier. So he's pretty much running the second unit when he comes on the court. Limited minutes, but still, it's what he's been doing. So it's all we have to go off of. All we can go off of, I should say. So Naz Reid definitely was someone to be on my radar if all those guys happen to be out again. And then just a couple of pump plays that I really don't have a ton of interest in because I really don't think we have to go this low considering all of my favorite guys are like in the mid-K range. So hopefully we can kind of just round it out. Maybe the lowest we go is like someone like Jay Crowder or maybe even Naz Reid. But you could look at Tyler Herro and Kent Bazemore. They're both the same price, $3,700. Now, Bazemore does not draw a good matchup whatsoever, but he's going to play like 30-plus minutes. Is he horrible on a point-per-minute basis? Yes, but that's why he's priced this low. 18 points, 16 points, 14, 22. Not the worst play in the world. Going to do a little bit of everything here, but he's going to play big minutes. Maybe Lux his way into 20 points. I would take it. Not a great matchup versus Miami, though. But Tyler Herro, who he actually draws the better matchup. Now, he's not going to play as big a... what's he barking? It's 2 a.m. What is going on out there? I don't know if okay, let's just try to get through this really quick. So he had 25 minutes, 33 minutes. Okay, I got to pause it. Okay, well, I found the source of the barking. He is right here, so I got to calm him down for a little bit. But we only have a couple more minutes in this video, probably not even that. But Tyler Herro, he does draw a pretty good matchup here versus Portland. Definitely draws the better matchup between the two of him and Kent Bazemore. Now, the minutes aren't going to be as big, but we have seen games where he plays like 33, 34 minutes. So, out of breath from chase. I had to chase him to get him. But he's not been playing that well recently, but 12 points, 25 points, 11 points, 23 points. Not too bad. I think he's like at 0.7 points per minute so far. So, not the worst play in the world. Sorry, this video at the end of this video is so sloppy. I just cannot control him right now. But Tyler Herro, he's a fine source for value on this slate, and that's pretty much as low as I would go as of right now. Maybe some more things will open up with given injury news or whatnot, but as of right now, that's what I am looking at. But I think I'm about to end this video, so hope this video was helpful. If it was, remember to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Really appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And if you're interested in the spreadsheet about every single night for the NBA season, links on the description below for my Patreon. And I'll see you guys in the next video, and I wish you guys the best of luck.